Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Fantasy Armchair Athletes live stream. This is not just any regular live stream. I am drafting the worst possible fantasy football team in history. I mean, this is all types of intentional. I've got the whole lineup on my phone here. I'm kind of disgusted just at looking at it, but it's against all of you. It gives all of you a phenomenal chance to defeat me. I don't think I see a scenario where I come in and win the whole league, but it is my goal to make the playoffs through waiver wire, through the trade market, through just paying attention to injuries and different depth chart updates. That is what the goal is here. Sorry if my voice is a little bit gone. Been grinding away at some videos. We've got a new one out today. It is the start sit quarterback video going into week one. We took a couple from the start and sit category. It's just in terms of who's going to outperform their average. So look, if you have one of those guys in the sit category, but it's your best option, maybe you're SOL and you stick with it. But the goal is just to project who's going to perform above and below average performances relative to last year, or just projections set forth by the experts of ESPN, Sleeper, NFL.com, all that good stuff. So make sure you check that out after this video. Without further ado, we are 4 minutes away from drafting. I'll go through the draft board here. Thank you all for joining this. We got a full 12-team slate. Really happy with the turnout overall. And there I am at number 1. Not that it matters at all. I'm not queuing up any players. I'm not giving any hints at who I'm going to take. I see Wes Double Dubs is in the chat below. Good to see you, Wes. Good luck with your team. Yeah, it's my goal to have a very low projected score for my team starting out. It's going to be a matter of me paying attention, hyper-focused, which I think I'm already doing for the sake of keeping this channel up and running to make sure I inform all of you. But it's really going to test me to try and even make a team that can contend at an outside chance at getting a win on a week-by-week basis. It is going to take a lot. I mean, to not get blown out every single week and just to give myself a chance to scrape across a couple of wins, that's ultimately the goal here. If you're playing me in week 1, 2, or 3, you probably have a solidified W, but it is my goal, at least after the first 3 weeks, to somewhat contend. So folks, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. From somebody who analyzes fantasy hours and hours and hours on a day-by-day basis, what I am about to do is going to hurt me very deeply inside. I'm going to see a lot of interesting plays, I'm sure, on all of your ends. I'm going to see some names fall, some names maybe taken a little early. I'm going to see some opportunities that I cannot capitalize on. So let's just go over the rules real quick, so I'm clarifying with all of you what you got yourself into, more so what I got myself into. I have to draft all backups. And I'm not just talking, second string running backs, third string running backs. There's going to be some third strings in there. Third string wide receiver. That doesn't really count because there's 4 wide receiver sets. There's guys who see significant playing time. I am taking people who either off a roster, barely made the 53-man. They could be retired. There's some of those in there as I look at this list. There's a variety of names. I do make one rule so that I can have some possible chance of getting trade leverage in the first couple of weeks as injuries happen the whole 9 yards. I am allowed to take one regular pick outside of the first 3 rounds. So this is snake format, standard PPR, 12-team. We're going to go through round 1. Rounds 2 and 3, I have that easy turn back-to-back. I don't get to take advantage of that. I have to wait at least until the end of round 4 to take one legitimate pick, one borderline starter or backup, whoever's left on the board, and I get to build my team around them. So I'm by no means getting elite talent at all. Yeah, that is beyond the possibility here, as I'm going to be pick 48, and I'm going to use that to try and take the best possible team. Clearly, it's rigged if you're picking first. Wes, I am picking a horrible team. It does not matter what spot I'm in, I promise. Cooper Kupp again with his injury struggles. Very excited to start this. Very excited to see you in here, Brian. Yeah, Cooper Kupp is falling in draft boards. Interested to see where all of you are going to take him, where all of you are going to take Christian McCaffrey, the whole 9 yards. I really am interested to see how this draft board plays out. A lot of you have been tuning in to my mock draft content. I have no factor in this draft. I get one free pick outside of the first 3 rounds, as we are just a minute out. But super excited as well. I can't wait to see all of your teams. I'll be live reacting to that as well. Yeah, this should be fun. Looks like it goes me, then Brady Meyer, then Edward, then Ryan Zibble, Green Bay Packers 2023. Some of you guys changed your names. Oh, we've got Mary. There's Wes. There's AJ, Trevor, Cameron, Jacob, Brian, and Austin. 30 seconds out. Yeah, this is going to be tough. It will not be easy. 15 seconds before I completely destroy my odds of winning this entire league. For the sake of all of your entertainment. Here we go. Here we go. Who do I take with the first overall pick? A lot of you are probably wondering about this. I thought about this long and hard. I'm not queuing anybody up. We're going to go with the free agent, Josh Gordon. Had to go with him. And now it is up to the rest of you. I see everyone's starting to file in here. I just took Josh Gordon, first overall. Jefferson goes second overall. Brady's got a stud, best wide receiver in the game, one of the highest target shares in the game, highest scorer in fantasy, standard PPR in the game. Jalen Ramsey is top tier. I agree, Brian. That is quite the name. Shout out to AJ for that one. Jamar Chase goes third. Which pass-catching running back is going to go? And how does this impact Travis Kelce's value, right? Obviously, just going to be out for week 1 at the most. The knee hyperextension earlier today. I wonder if Noah Gray goes in any drafts here. You know, it doesn't really matter if I drop hints at all. I'm not telling anything. I'm drafting a horrible team here. We've got Josh Gordon already. Tyreek Hill goes next. But I wonder if this at all impacts Travis Kelce's draft stock because, you know, it's 1 of 17 weeks. It's the opening week, and maybe someone just doesn't want to deal with the headache of having to skate around Travis Kelce and having to go dig deep for at least a somewhat effective tight end. But I really don't know. Kelce typically goes 5 or 6, so we'll see how all of you respond. Got T. Essen here. Thanks for answering my question earlier. Anytime, man. Hope you enjoy the live stream. If this is new to you, been promoting it for a little bit. It's an idea that kind of spawned 6-7 months ago. I am drafting all backups against 11 of my subscribers, and I have to try and make the playoffs against them. It is 12 teams, standard PPR. I get one freebie, and it's outside of the first 3 rounds where I can actually grab a legitimate player. But I mean, we started off with Josh Gordon. Let's be honest with ourselves here, right? There goes Austin Eckler, Bijan Robinson. So Kelce falling a little bit here. I don't see him taking it 7 too often. But yeah, so folks, make sure you stick around after this draft too. I'm going to have to do some major reconstructing of whatever the heck this roster is about to look like. I would hope nobody takes some of the players I'm going after. So I'm pretty sure I know exactly how this roster is going to look, but I won't say anything early on. This is something else. This should be a blast. Doing it for your entertainment, but also just doing it to prove that you can scrap together some wins. That's my goal. Scrap together some wins and be in the playoff conversation and make the playoffs by the end of the year. Just off waivers, off free agency. I'll have dibs on waivers for a while, I assume, unless I pull off something crazy. Off the trade market once I do get some leverage. Off just doing your gosh dang research, right? Understanding that somebody gets hurt like Travis Kelce and immediately jumping on the tight end market. Maybe going after somebody like Noah Gray, who in the limited time that he's been used on this Chiefs lineup, as Devontae goes, CMC goes, in the limited time that he's been used, you know, maybe he's worth something in a deeper league. This is kind of right on that line, right? 12 teams, you know, 14 is when you really start to get obscure. Wes says, if Kelce falls to you, I'm going to be hot. Yeah, I mean, Kelce's not falling to me at all. I can't draft anybody legitimate until the 4th round. But yeah, folks, so stick around after the draft. I'll probably be doing this for 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. I'm probably not going to have the opportunity to send out too many trades. Maybe I try and go for some depth, depending on how much of a splash I can make in the 4th round. But it's ultimately just going to be my goal to scour free agency. I'll do a little research. I'll have an extra tab open just to kind of take you all through my thought process in a situation that I wish upon no one, yet I am willingly putting myself into. And then we'll go from there. And this is going to be a weekly live series. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this team, and then from there, you get to follow my journey in taking a team that is so god-awful, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get a draft grade, to hopefully a team that can contend for the playoffs. You know, I'm going to be relying on the randomness of the NFL, the fact that there's going to be injuries out there, the fact that jobs are going to be won over. I'll be paying attention to practice reports of all 32 teams. This is going to be some next level stuff. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Brian's saying, I'll be up front. I will not take Kelce. So yeah, you know, that there's some transparency there. Edward saying, insane strategy. Kelce goes 9th overall. Actually went via the auto pick. One of the few who are not in the lobby right now. Kelce goes 9th. CeeDee Lamb. So Austin going Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb on the turn. I like it a lot. You've got two potentially top 5 wide receivers in the entire league. CeeDee Lamb was number 5 last year. Obviously that high-flying offense in Buffalo led by Stephon Diggs. Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Tony Pollard. Can't wait to see what Tony Pollard does this year. Top 10 running back last season. Had Zeke poaching touchdowns left and right. It's something. And this will kind of be fun, right? Because not only am I documenting my own journey, if one of you starts out 7-0, 8-0, I can kind of go over and use you as a blueprint and say, you know, this person did factors A, B, and C in the 2023 season, and it worked for them. So I'll be able to give you guys some credit, too, as you just beat down on my team these first few weeks. We'll see who's dominant. We'll see who's reigning supreme, what kind of combinations work, what type of hypothetical trade packages we can put together in my situation. I think it'll be helpful for everyone. It's going to kill me inside. I will not lie. It already hurts knowing that I just spent the first overall pick on Josh Gordon when I had the likes of Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. The world was at my fingertips there, and I went underground. But Amon-Ra St. Brown goes 2.8. Garrett Wilson right before him. Cooper Kupp has fallen to mid-2 with that lingering hamstring injury. I've got a name in my mind that I think can fall to the 4th round. I'll use that as my starter, and it's going to be a risk, but who knows? Who knows? Oh yeah, we're going way down here for some of these names. Be transparent with you folks. I'm recognizing 1 out of every 10 to 15 names when I get to this part. This is nuts. All right, we're up. We are up. You know, Patrick Mahomes goes, all right, we want to start taking quarterbacks. That's fine. I can take quarterbacks. I'll take a quarterback. Give me Drew Lock. There we go. On the turn, let's just go quarterback. Why not? I don't want anyone to go and get this person. I really think, despite the fact he retired, he's hot on the market. Give me Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is torture. This is torture. I'm just going to ignore all the names that are now falling around me. There goes Ryan Fitzpatrick off the board, as he should be. We're up in his ADP a little bit. So those are checked off. This is horrible. This is horrible. This is horrible. Stick around because I'm going to make this team... I'm going to turn it from the worst team you've ever seen to still the worst team you've ever seen, but at least somewhat bearable. It'll be my goal to be able to score 60% of the points of my opponent. I think even half would be a gift. I really do. But now we strategize a little bit here. This is the one part of the draft where I can step in. The rule again, outside of the first 3 rounds, I can pick one legitimate fantasy asset. Wes says solid pickup. Big fan. Yeah, I mean, if Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back, watch out. I've got him. I've got him. He is mine. Chris Olave goes early 3, followed by ETN. Good pick, Edward. take a look at some of your teams here because I'm tired of looking at mine. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave. I mean, you have a pair of top 3 finishers at their respective positions. Patrick Mahomes was top 3 and Justin Jefferson was top 2, not 2. Good buy variety early on. Really no limit to the upside. ETN, Jamar Chase, and Jalen Waddle is a deadly 1-2 punch. Jamar Chase was actually on pace to outperform himself from his rookie year. Of course, he missed a few games, but he still managed to put up a 1,000-yard season. Jalen Waddle, a huge improvement. He nearly doubled his yards per reception mark from year 1 to year 2 under the new offense. Let's look at Ryan here. Joe Mixon and Najee Harris, a pair of not too efficient backs, but the sell with them, right, it's the pass catching upside. Interested to see what happens with Najee Harris in terms of Jaylen Warren's involvement in the offense. DK goes 3.5, and Tyreek Hill, you can't go wrong with him. Austin Eckler, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and DK Metcalf. This is one of the 2 auto drafts at the moment. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, fringe top 10 last year. DK Metcalf, around the same zip code. Austin Eckler, honestly a pretty good pick. The pass catching upside, he had 107 receptions. Said that number way too many times to forget it. Last season, he led all backs. T. Higgins goes 3.6. I see him rise higher and higher and higher. I think people are starting to realize, Jamar Chase is coming off of an injury that almost took him out for half the year, about a third of the year. If he goes down, T. Higgins was not a 1,000-yard receiver too long ago. It's only been a couple of years. And here's Wes. We got Bijan, Garrett Wilson, and T. Higgins. Garrett Wilson, I can't say enough about him, right? Top 25 wide receiver with a horrible wide receiver room last year. T. Higgins just sold the case on him. Best prospect we've seen since Saquon. If Saquon and Derrick Henry had a baby, that's Bijan. Jalen Hurts could definitely be the QB1. He was last year from a points per game perspective. Christian McCaffrey is dangerous, and so is Cooper Kupp. But the big question with those 2 is injury. So much upside. Those 2 could easily be number 1 overall. What AJ did here, he took the risk. It's a free league. I'm being a moron and drafting a horrible team, so why not, right? Jalen Hurts could very well be the number 1 overall quarterback if he plays the entire season with the assets he has at hand. Christian McCaffrey has been the number 1 overall running back in fantasy, and so has Cooper Kupp. This could go a variety of ways. AJ could literally go undefeated with these 3 if they all stay healthy. Or he could suffer and have to spin some trades by week 6. But I like it. Keeps things interesting. It's a good case study. Josh Jacobs, over 350 touches last year. And he killed it. A lot of his yards, a larger proportion than with most running backs, were after contact. Devontae Adams, going to be interested to see. That's an interesting stack. Interested to see how his output changes. I feel like it was a match made in heaven last year. Former college teammate at Fresno State in Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo comes in. He actually throws the ball deeper on a yards per attempt basis. And Devontae Smith, one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver 2 in the league. T. Higgins right up there with him. Josh Allen, rushing upside, love it. Tony Pollard, backfield to himself. Ramondre Stevenson, pass catching upside galore. Just went off the board at 4.4. Quarterbacks are going now. There's Lamar at 4.3. Travis Kelce, best tight end in the game. I would argue if it's just 1 week that he ends up missing, if he even misses this week, he's worth the headache. He beat the entire field by more than 5 points per game last year in a standard PPR format. Jacob, good to see you in here. And you've got Lamar Jackson, phenomenal rushing upside. My big question mark with him, because he has missed 10 games over the course of the last 2 years, is health. Nick Chubb, huge volume guy. Deshaun Watson coming off a poor season, to say the least. So I like that move. A.J. Brown, Mark Andrews, consistent. Top 3, top 4 tight end in the league. Brian, a day 1. We've got Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Keenan Allen, and Christian Watson. So you went double hero RB, and I think you are going to be reaping in the benefits as long as we have health. Health is wealth. The best ability is availability. I like it a lot. Christian Watson, that hopefully reliable wide receiver 1. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb. Very balanced team so far for Austin. I love it. Now, what do I do here? I get 1 real pick. I get one real pick. I think I've got to ask myself. Hopefully I don't get sniped here. Who has more rushing upside? Alvin Kamara or Jonathan Taylor? Now, they might fall. I could let them sit around for a bit. I don't really see a benefit of it if I'm going to go after them anyway. Or I can go after a surefire running back 1 with some stability like a James Conner. There goes Alvin Kamara. I think I just got sniped. There's no way to truly tell, but I think I just got sniped. I think that's what happened. You know what? James Cook was super efficient last year. Call me absolutely bonkers. I think James Cook might be the move here. Although Rachaad White's got a more established resume. Wasn't too efficient last year, but very involved in the pass catching game. It's essentially a rebuild in Tampa. Oh dear. James Conner kind of gives us a combination of both. I'm not a big fan of any of these. But in a normal draft, I'm probably taking James Cook. At least for the time being. Most efficient out of all these last year. And now back on our horrible drafting sequence. I think it's time for a tight end, don't you? Let's go get ourselves a little Jimmy Graham. This is so bad. Drew Lock, James Cook. James Cook is who we're building on here. Josh Gordon, Jimmy Graham, Ryan Fitzpatrick. What a team. What a team. Joseph is in here. What's up, man? Good to see you. This is a concept I've been talking about for a while. I am drafting the worst possible fantasy football team against 11 of my subscribers, looking to rebuild, and I will start that rebuilding process right after this draft, so don't go anywhere. You can dive into my head in terms of who I go after when it is absolutely the definition of slim pickings to try and give this team a shot as soon as possible. So hang around for that. I'll be going on free agency, maybe spinning up a trade or two just to see. And I want to make this clear while most of you are here right now. Don't give me pity. Do not grant me a trade if you don't think it's fair. I'm going to try and be extremely fair. I am not going to offer up James Cook and Jimmy Graham and try to get... I'm trying to think of a good example. I mean, obviously not like Austin Eckler out of you, or even anybody really in the top 10. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to be putting forward balanced trades. It's my goal to do this right. I don't want any charity, and I'm really not going to give myself the opportunity to receive charity. These are going to be fair trades. I'm going to have to earn my way up the ladder, get up rung by rung the hard way. I have honestly no clue how this is going to go. I just know my goal. So after Jimmy Graham, looks like I started the tight end train. TJ Hawkinson goes off the board at 5.2. Chris Godwin at 5.3. I would hope everybody in this draft right now understands what I'm doing. Otherwise, they are probably very confused. I'd like to think I promoted it well, but folks, this is painful. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm drafting a horrible team with a lot of opportunity on the board. I would have loved to have taken a Deontay Johnson by now. The fact he has fallen almost 10 picks off his projection and past his ADP, which I believe was around 48 the last time I checked, hurts me deeply. So please, please, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not already, as I'm going through it, and this is going to be a 17 to 18 week grind. I'm going to find a way. I am going to find a way. Edward, what's the goal of the challenge? To win or just not lose? Edward, the goal of the challenge is for me to get into the playoffs with this horrible team. I want to show you all the power of waiver wire, the power of free agency, the power of doing your research, and the power of the trade market at timely fashions, evaluating somebody's market price. For example, you are going to get Jonathan Taylor at the biggest discount in the first couple of weeks. If he goes off week 5, you'll never get him again. It's going to be really tough. The value is going to go up. So, Edward, I'm really just taking the whole 9 yards. Player value evaluation, paying attention to depth chart changes, injuries, the whole 9 yards is what I'm going to be doing so that I can try and get into the playoffs. I want to prove to all of you, Edward, that this is my main goal. For those of you leaving and going, after your draft, I have the worst team. I looked at the projection thing on ESPN, which I'll show you after this. I will be dead last by a mile and a half. I looked at the projections. It says I have the worst team. I'm projected to lose to my week 1 matchup by 12 points, it's over for me. I screwed up. I don't know why I took Adam Thielen there in round 11. Some people are going to make some, by their opinions, questionable decisions and think their season's over. I am doing what would 9 times out of 10 end somebody's season right off the cuff. I'm going to do the most research I possibly can and grind my butt off the next 3 months to show you that your season does not end at the draft, because this is by far a worse team than anything any of you have probably ever drafted. And I'm going to try and build up. So, Edward, it's just to show that, as much of a cliche as it is, if your draft goes bad, nothing's impossible. You can still work your way back. JVL Leaks, do you think that Cam Akers will be a top 15 running back? Tough to tell, right? He lost his job last year to Darrell Henderson, and then, of course, he comes back, and in the last 3 games of the year, he has a 100-yard game each and every time. JVL, I will say this. If Cooper Kupp continues to get hurt, I think there's a chance. And I also think there's a chance that Tyler Higbee ends up being a top 7, top 8 tight end if Cooper Kupp gets hurt. If Cooper Kupp does not get hurt, I do think this Rams team is going to be behind in a lot of ball games, and it's going to be throw heavy, and he's going to get that 30 to 32 to 33% target share that we usually see. I think that is the determining factor in terms of whether or not Cam Akers can be a top 15 running back. I think he has the ability to, but the cards are going to have to be in his favor. Hope that helps. Just take a look at what all of you are doing. Alexander Madison, mid 5. Joe Burrow, mid 5. DJ Moore after him. Wes has taken DJ Moore. That checks out. Kenneth Walker III goes 5.7. Justin Herbert, somebody who I still feel like you are getting at a phenomenal discount, considering that right now all of his weapons are healthy, and Kellen freaking Moore is their offensive coordinator. I think that helps a ton. So I'm a big fan of that. DeAndre Hopkins, 5.9. That could go very well or not very well. James Conner at 5.10. And Trevor Lawrence going after Justin Herbert. Those two I've seen swapped a lot. Scary Terry going 5.12. And now we're in the 6th with Darren Waller. Do another check on all of your teams before I pick. Who knows? Yeah, we'll pick from a list here. I've still got about 11 to 12 names to choose from, so we'll be good for the rest of the draft. Really liking Brady's team right now. Obviously, he's going to have to go out and stack wide receiver. He's going to have to go out and stack running back the next couple of rounds because Alvin Kamara is not going to cut it. He is not starting in the first 3 weeks due to the suspension. But Justin Jefferson and Chris Olave should be a mean 1-2 punch. You've got top 2, not 2, and Justin Jefferson. You've got Chris Olave working in an offense that should go pretty well with Derek Carr at the helm. I'd like to think that their quarterback situation is better this season. And then you have TJ Hawkinson, a top 3 tight end from last year. And an awesome passing attack. Etienne and Hall, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. That might be my favorite wide receiver bunch at the moment. It's just so even. And Chris Godwin at the flex. That team should be throwing the ball a lot. He has more targets over the course of the last 2 years than Mike Evans. I enjoy that. Even despite the fact that Chris Godwin has played in less games than Mike Evans. Mixon, Harris, Cooper. We've got the AFC North squad with Ryan and then Tyreek Hill there. And Alexander Madison in the flex. Solid team so far. Kind of laying back on quarterback and just focusing on skill positions. Especially in the running back room, right? Some people are not going to get in this draft 2 starters. There are not 24 running backs in the entire league that, I should say, have the backfield to themselves. There are a lot of handcuff situations out there right now. I brought up Jaylen Warren with Najee Harris. But like with Joe Mixon, it's his backfield, right? There aren't a lot of bell cow running backs out there right now, or guys who are at least going to get that 65 to 70% of carries. But you have 2 of them, so I like it. Joe Burrow, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders, Monroe St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel. Very even-keeled team right now. I don't see any severe weaknesses. Justin Fields and DJ Moore stack. Passing attack's going to have to improve for sure. Bijan Robinson, Isaiah Pacheco. We're looking for some upside on, a couple of unknown stories. Bijan is supposed to be amazing, but we haven't seen any regular season action yet. We will very soon. Pacheco caught the ball a ton down the stretch last year, especially in the AFC Championship game. Caught 5 for 59 yards relative to the rest of the year. Who do I go with next? We are going to get ourselves a kicker. If you're noticing a theme, these guys are all free agents for the most part. James Cook was my freebie. And on the turn, let's go get Adam Humphries. Feeling a good year for him. Really am. This sucks. This sucks. Every time I pick, I just have that immediate reaction of, what are we doing here? This is going to be extremely tough. Cam Akers goes N6. George Kittle as well. Javonte Williams. Great matchup against Las Vegas. Obviously, Max Crosby's in that front seven, but that's a really, really poor defense. And I think if the Broncos can muster out a win, which I think it's possible, it's a run-heavy attack down the stretch, and you get some chew-up-the-clock yards. Mike Williams, Rachaad White, Evan Ingram. Deontay Johnson at 6.2 is a phenomenal pick, Brian. I mean, you have a guy who was 7th in the league in targets. And over the course of the last few years, he's up there in targets with guys like Ja'Marr Chase, with guys like Justin Jefferson, with guys like A.J. Brown. He just hasn't been able to get on the same page as the signal callers. It was Mitch Trubisky for a bit, Mason Rudolph for a bit the year before this, and now obviously Kenny Pickett, who's technically still in his rookie year in my mind. He hasn't played a full 17 games. I think if a few more of those can connect. Also, let's just look at the fact that Deontay Johnson was around the top 30 in a standard PPR format at the wide receiver position last year, and he had 0 touchdowns. You can't get worse than that. The man is due. I hate saying that, but the man is due. Picking towards the end sucks. Brian, honestly, if it wasn't for the first or second pick, picking towards the end would probably be my favorite because you can control 2 picks in a row, right? Or you can control 2 of the next 4 picks, and you can really choreograph a good team. Stacks are very possible in that way if you can get like an A.J. Brown and a Jalen Hurts, or, you know, obviously at the beginning you get a Ja'Marr Chase, but maybe Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. Possibilities are endless. Kyle Pitts goes 7.5. There goes Jonathan Taylor. I would have felt like I was reaching for him. I don't want to go out and get a running back that I could use for trade leverage. It is a buyer's market for Jonathan Taylor right now. I would not have been able to sell him for a decent price in the first couple of weeks. I don't want to play that waiting game. I want to try and steal a win early and hopefully have some things fall my way. But it's mainly just going to be staying on top of every depth chart update, whether it's injury, someone just winning the job. I'm going to have to take a couple of those to give myself a chance, but I think it's possible. I've never done anything like this, but who knows? Who knows? Wes said, so pissed I didn't get JT. It comes with a risk, but at 7.4, I think that's a risk a lot of us are willing to take. He comes back and ends up not doing too well. I guess worst case scenario is he doesn't play, right? But I'd say the most likely one is he comes back. It's some hybrid between last year and 2021, which was a ridiculous season. I'm not sure anybody reaches that level for a while. If you can get 8, 9, 1,000 yards out of him, a few touchdowns, he's involved in the pass catching game. I think especially with a quarterback with so much rushing upside in Anthony Richardson, I think that's a win. And maybe you use him for trade leverage after one good week. Maybe all you need to turn your team around is one good week from Jonathan Taylor. You can package him up with a Christian Kirk, and people are valuing Jonathan Taylor really high. All of a sudden, you can go out and get a top 10 receiver. You can go out and get an A.J. Brown or a CeeDee Lamb even. Maybe not for Jonathan Taylor and Christian Kirk, but take Jonathan Taylor, take a top 10 wide receiver, and get yourself a 5. And you don't lose much because Jonathan Taylor is a wave of inconsistency right now. There goes Christian Kirk. Aaron Rodgers on the turn. Interesting. Delvin Cook going N7 is super nice because the Jets just came out and basically said the last couple of days that they're really easing Breece Hall back into his role. He didn't practice yesterday, so Monday. Delvin Cook should have more of a major role. So I like that a lot. See, like right about now, I'm looking at Jahan Dotson and how much he took off the last few weeks. He'll be in a video that is coming tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. I'm not a big Michael Pittman Jr. fan, but the fact that he's available as we get into the second half of the 8th round sucks to know I'm going to go out and take fill in the blank here. Marquise Brown. There goes Jahan Dotson. I feel like every time I say somebody's name, they go off the board pretty quick. So you guys are definitely listening. 32 quarterbacks. 12 of us. Some of you are going to double up. I'm very interested to see who is left for me to take. Right? Because that's a starting position I'm going to get. If 32 quarterbacks go off the board with 11 of you, I'm concerned. Not for myself either. So I will be able to get a starting quarterback. I'm going to have to take a chance on somebody. You guys know I like my rushing upside, but I don't really have much at my disposal here. I kind of just have to wait. So every pick that gets closer to the end, and I'm not going to stare any names down too close, is a pick closer to me having the ball in my court again. It quite literally cannot get worse than this. Folks, let's try and get 10 likes on this stream. I know we can do it. Going through some pain here. This is I have the notes on my phone. It says bad team, and it's got my whole roster in here, and we're about halfway home. This is going to be tough. While some of you are sleeping, I will be up until 2 a.m. trying to figure out how I can get the 35th best wide receiver in Week 7 to somehow include them in a trade package to upgrade one of my positions by maybe 2 or 3 spots, just hoping for a breakout. Meanwhile, you will all be resting, assured, knowing that you were not the idiot who drafted a ton of backups. So please leave a like. Please subscribe if you have not already. This will be a grind. All right. It's our turn. Let's go get ourselves Patrick Ricard. How could you not? Let's go get Juszczyk as well. This is insane. This is insane. Streaming defenses is something I do too. I mean, what's really going to hurt me is the wide receiver position. I am really going to be hurting right here. I think there's a lot of running back by committees. I should be able to nab a handcuff, even if it's not an optimal one. Quarterback, I'm going to be able to get a starter. They'll be bottom 10 in the league, but maybe there's a trade. Somebody goes and gets Mike Evans. Flex, you can fill in. And that's usually where it's slim pickings for people. They might make the wrong decision off their bench. They've got their solid 1-2 wide receiver punch. They're maybe sure of what's going on with the running back, but flex leaves a lot up to your discretion. Wes says, your team is looking incredibly bad. Incredibly bad. Thank you. Thank you very much. I agree. Don't let any talent fall off the board for me. I'm just going to say that. Don't let this draft end and you go, I should have grabbed that person in the 15th round. I will turn them into trade leverage. Don't you worry. There goes the first defense, I believe, at 9.6 in the 49ers. And folks, I know this type of, or this just tomfoolery, this chaos is going on right now with me drafting a horrible team, and you're going at it too. But if you have a little time between picks, or if you are just watching to see my demise, feel free to drop any fantasy football related questions in the chat as well. I see we had a couple already. Good to see Joseph in here, Edward, JVL, Wes, Brian. Good to see all of you. This is a good turnout. I'm glad I can get all of us here together to watch this dumpster fire of a draft. Treylon Burks going late 9. I believe he is back from injury. Sky Moore. JSN going mid 9 after Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks, that is a sneaky, sneaky pick, Ryan. Mid 9 for the wide receiver 2 on a Dallas offense that looked great, but did lose Kellen Moore. I cannot wait as soon as this draft is done. Feel free to watch. Please do watch. To just go into free agency and grab whatever's there and start to jot up some trades tonight. That is going to be a thrill. I hope. I really hope. I got the yips and picked up a defense. Wes, was that you taking? Yeah, no, I think that's fine. I've taken defense in a standard 12-team format. If I'm feeling good about my flex spot, if I feel like I've got myself a decent quarterback, unless I'm really sitting back on a tight end or somebody I feel it's going to fall down, is Freiermuth or Juwan Johnson still on the board. They're both going to get taken, but Juwan Johnson's going to get taken, but he's still down there. If I'm comfortable with my team at that point, I'll take a defense round 9 or 10. I think unless you're really lacking at the 2 premium positions in running back or wide receiver, because obviously they're doubled up, don't do it. But, it pays to have the best defense in the league. If you can get one of them, if you can get the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Bills, who you're hardly ever going to see in the negatives, which can be a team killer, right? Then you're in a good spot. You've gained some points on the field. Deion Jackson goes late 9. A week ago, I would have been able to get Deion Jackson. But now it's Zach Moss is hurt, JT is out, and I am that much more screwed because that would have been a really nice pickup. I grabbed him in a couple of leagues. As soon as I saw he was at least going to be the running back too, just because he does have so much pass catching upside. I remember specifically a game last year where he had 10 receptions and 79 yards. I mean, that's 17.9 alone. And then he also had a touchdown on the ground. Wasn't the most efficient last year on the ground, but this is an extra 50 points right here. 56, actually. So you've got a lot of opportunity there with Jonathan Taylor not only sitting out the first 4 games, but we just don't even know the status of this depth chart with Zach Moss going down with an injury. If Deion Jackson comes out and explodes, I don't think it's a stretch to say that the Indianapolis Colts are looking for an answer in the backfield. So if he can go out and show them something, I think that's a good problem to have. To go, maybe. We promote Deion Jackson and give him another shot. I'm not sure Jonathan Taylor is a Colt in the next year or 2. I really am not. He was already looking to be traded. Couldn't hit the deadline. Now he's stuck on the PUP list. But that is just my 2 cents. David Njoku fell all the way to late 10. Good pickup there by Mary. I would be so happy if I can get a wide receiver 3 in a decent offense. I'll be a happy camper. Samaje Perine going late 10. See how much involvement he has there in Denver behind Javonte Williams, who obviously had that season-ending injury last year. There goes Juju Smith-Schuster. And you can't really take a backup defense, but you can take the worst defense in the league from last year. We're going to go with the Bears. And then we're going to take somebody who blew arguably a pair of games for the Bears and got them the first overall pick, Mr. Smith-Marsette. Who actually performed pretty well in the preseason for the Chiefs. Just missed the 53-man. Looks like he got picked up by Carolina. But yeah, that is the definition of a backup's backup right there. So Wouldn't be too worried about that one. Wes, he was a Bear. He was a Bear last year. He was playing preseason for the Chiefs and then got cut from the 53, man. And he just got picked up by the Panthers. So they did a swap in their 53 man. They dropped Deion Jones, went out and got Smith Marset. He had a nice preseason, so that doesn't shock me. Again, it's nothing notable. I really don't think he's going out and stealing a starting spot. Oh, JT's going to be a Bear. That's a hot take. Already got Khalil Herbert. They've got Dante Foreman, although they did get him at a very fair price, just $3 million a year. Justin Tucker goes. Yeah, here come the kickers. Rashad Penny. Yeah, that's interesting, right? I don't know what's going to happen with the Eagles' backfield. Saw a report earlier today. They don't know if it's Rashad Penny. They don't know if it's DeAndre Swift. They don't know if it's Boston Scott. They don't know if it's Kenneth Gainwell. It's a running back by committee. They're being very obscure in Philadelphia about whose backfield it is. And you also had the fact that you're operating with a top 3 rushing quarterback in the league in Jalen Hurts. He was top 4 last year in rushing attempts. Up there with Justin Fields, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. So I don't think any of those guys are safe at the moment. Debated on Perine for running back depth, but needed a tight end. Let's see where Brian went with the late tight end pick. Tyler Higbee. I mean, that's part of a bank play that maybe Cooper Kupp goes down. And then Tyler Higbee's usage just skyrockets. I mean, anytime you have someone, Brian, who has a target share around 30%, it's a premium for one, but two, it's a game changer when they're out. That's Cooper Kupp, that's Devontae Adams. That's almost Justin Jefferson. So I think Tyler Higbee at the very least is a top 10, top 15 tight end. He can ascend much more if Cooper Kupp is out. I don't think the Rams win a lot of football games this year. Defensive front gets thinner and thinner. Cooper Kupp battles injury anyway. The backfield is kind of a mess. There goes Dalton Schultz. Odell. Anime with a cryptic message. Is it 100% yes for Thursday? I think so. I think we should be good. Also, love the content. Thank you very much. Yeah, Brian, you've got a solid team, man. David Montgomery is going to be an effective handcuff back for sure. We've seen his pass catching upside in Chicago. I don't think he was brought in for his efficiency. He had a decent amount of yards following contact. But the big thing with him, especially this year, right? Relatively durable back. Missed just 1 game in his first 2 years, 4 games in his last 2, 6 in 4 years. Over 1,000 receiving yards over the course of that time period. Was only a 1,000-yard rusher once. Decent amount of touchdowns, though. 30 touchdowns in 4 years, nothing to scoff at. It's with Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a rookie, although you don't go out and draft somebody 12th overall unless you think they're a top prospect. So we will see if he lives up to that. Gabe Davis goes. Jaylen Warren goes. There's another handcuff that I would not have minded falling right out of the draft. Anybody who wants James Cook, you come talk to me. We'll make a deal. We will make a deal. I don't think I'm in a position, at least yet, where I can take one player and trade them for two for depth, unless I really go down to the bottom of some of your benches. And again, I'm going to keep it fair. I'm going to do this the right way. But it is my goal eventually to go out and acquire a decent talent, whether that be through trades, whether that be through ascension through the depth chart, to where I can then take that talent and trade them for a couple decent players. I want to have a great player so that I can trade them for two good players. For someone who's maybe pushing for the playoffs while I'm looking to just not get mathematically eliminated. That's the goal here, right? This is the definition of a bad draft right here. Drew Lock, James Cook, the star of my team. Patrick Ricard, Josh Gordon, Adam Humphries, Jimmy Graham, Kyle Juszczyk, the Bears defense. Mason Crosby, who's a free agent. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's retired. And Emir Smith-Marset. It's my goal to prove to you that you can have a bad draft. This is the worst draft. And still make the playoffs. I'm going to do it. I'm going to speak this into existence. Injuries are going to happen. Changes are going to happen. Trades are going to happen in the league and in fantasy. It's going to happen. Hopefully. Oh, we're going through it. All right. Just about 4 full rounds left. And then we go into free agency after I screenshot this god-awful team. And we try and make lemonade from lemons. Dolphins defense goes. Daniel Jones falling to 12 is super, super ideal. Tyler Algier, I handcuff it. I think it's going to have a lot more usage than most think. That Falcons team did still run the ball 57% of the time. Here we go. Okonkwo goes to N12. I like it, Brady. Let's take Marquise Goodwin. And let's take Travis Homer. That was a request from Wes before. I took a couple requests and then kind of just jotted up this masterpiece of a team. Again, folks, so this is going to be a weekly series of me building this team up from scraps. And it is scraps. If I had to guess what my projected score is for week 1, I mean, Ricard maybe gets credit for half a point. Jimmy Graham maybe like a third of a point. Juszczyk maybe a point. The Bears probably like 3 points. Drew Lock, absolutely nothing. James Cook, maybe 10. Yeah. So, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Even in this league right here, if you think you have a bad draft and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do well, my season's over, just look at mine and understand you are not alone. Had to go full screen for that. That was a very heartfelt moment. Trying to inspire all of you. Daniel Carlson goes 13.6. Tua right before him. Tua's falling. Quentin Johnson, not having the best training camp from what I saw, but still in an offense that I think can easily put across 5,000 passing yards if that receiving core in general stays healthy. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer, DeAndre Carter, Quentin Johnson. That's dangerous. Gerald Everett. All right, all of you have 2 to 3 more shots to take away people I want. Good luck to you. Yeah, whoever's playing me in week 1, congrats. You are 1-0. I will be a bye week for the first week or two, but making me feel special with that. AJ, is it you? Am I playing you week 1? Or are you talking about the full screen? You're probably talking about the full screen. Had to go full screen to inspire you. Just had to. I feel like it's more sentimental. It's just more of an endearing moment if my face takes up the whole screen like this. Look, there it is again. Just for you, AJ. Just for you. But we'll look around again. So the answer that Brady had for Kamara being out the first 3 weeks, he's got Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins in that flex spot. He can slip up a Michael Pittman Jr., a Brian Robinson Jr., a Juju Smith-Schuster, and a Okonkwo, Darnell Mooney into that flex spot if he wants to swap if he wants to swap Kamara for Dobbins. Derek Carr goes, DJ Chark goes. Derek Carr falls a lot in these drafts. He's just going to get you 25 touchdowns. He'll throw a few picks. Typically a 4,000-yard passer. I think a very high floor player. And folks, we are 3 subscribers away from 700. It's been a huge growth month. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you have not already, I am putting myself through the ringer here. I have taken a horrible fantasy football team, an attempt to rebuild and show all of you that a poor draft is not a deal breaker, and this is a poverty draft. So if you have not already, please leave a like and subscribe, and of course, ask any questions that you may have related to fantasy football, and we will get to you. I've always got at least one eye on the live chat. AJ is dumbfounded that I went to full screen for him again. And also, folks, new video came out today, the start-sit video at the quarterback position. That's also just an open forum for you to ask any questions you may have regarding the quarterback position or really anything fantasy football. It's always open for that. I am here to help you and ultimately introduce some new research strategies to you in the process about fantasy football, different numbers to look up, different statistics, everything you could imagine. I have 3 bad picks left. Goodness. Oh my goodness. This is bad. This is bad. Oh, you know it's bad when you're even running out of just horrible players to draft. I think we're almost at the end of my list. So we got to think a little bit on the fly here. I will take requests at this point for horrible players if you have any ideas. Before I screenshot this team, go into free agency, and dismantle this catastrophe. I will take requests for these last 3 picks. Oh, it's so fitting. I also have the last pick of the draft. That's very nice that I'm going to waste. And then right after I waste it, I will go out and get somebody else. I feel like I should be able to get who I want with that last pick, but it does not matter. Because whoever I don't get, I'll just go grab right after. Elijah Moore going late 14th. I keep forgetting if he is the wide receiver 2 or if it's Donovan Peoples-Jones. My gut tells me it's him. It's Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. And I was right. That's a good pickup. I mean, Deshaun Watson can't get much worse than what we saw last year. Completion percentage below the 60s. Dear goodness. Okay. Who did I just see before? Yeah, we'll go Jesper Horsted. We'll give him some love. And on the turn... That's too high usage. Oh my. Matthew Slater is still in here. Well, there we go. All right. All right. Yeah, this entire team is going to change very soon. Get Patriots and Steelers legend Gunnar Olszewski. Yeah, I will gladly do it. Forgot he's on Pittsburgh now. That's a good last pick. I'm going to guess I'm projected to score 21 points this week. I mean, maybe they give me like 0.2 with a backup. Should Geno go down? They're probably projecting his injury probability, which he played every snap last year, so not too high. Matthew Slater, love it. Had to do it. Had to do it. Just for you, AJ. James Cook's going to get you a 10 or 11 probably. It is against the Jets. Pretty stingy defense. So we're probably looking at 11. Let's go 0.1, 11.1, 11.6. Wash. 12.6. 13.6. Maybe we'll get 2 here. 14.6. 16.6. Free agent. I'm going to say I'm around 17 projected points. Sam Laporta goes. I really think quarterback and tight end, depending on who doesn't go off the board, I can get some trade leverage here. If somebody's quarterback goes down and I happen to have someone in a pretty optimal position, he's got a decent matchup, you want to play matchups and sell at the highest value as well. Oh, we've got options here. We've got options. I think I can get that projected score up to like 70, which is still horrible, but it's going to be my goal to lose my first matchup by 40 or less. Yeah, the bar is not high, folks. Not high at all. Tyler Boyd goes 15th round. I almost thought I was going to get him. Not going to lie to you. That would have been a mean wide receiver pickup. Trying my best not to get sniped here. Looking through. There. Just dropped my phone. There are some options here. There are some risk plays. You know, you've got injury-prone wide receivers, but, you know, I was looking at the free agency pool in a 14-team league that I drafted in last week, and it looked a lot worse than this. Granted, we do have a round left. Kicker is going to be essentially obsolete. If you want to get super analytical, I'm going to go for a team, at least throughout the year, because that is going to matter. Every point's going to matter to me. I'm going to go for a team that averages a lot of yards per game, but has a horrible red zone touchdown percentage. Where those crosshairs meet is going to be my kicker, as long as they don't shank kicks. If they do, then we have to take that into consideration as well. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Graham Gano goes. Yes, just take your kickers right now. Is everyone taking kicker here? This is doable. Take your kickers. Tucker's off the board. Okay. Tyler Bass. I think everyone has their kicker. Tank Bigsby. Oh, that would have been nice. That would have been nice. Almost everyone has their kicker. Not everyone. All right, AJ, I got him here for you. Gunnar Olszewski. We are already past the 1 hour mark for this draft. And I have been drafting nothing but horrible players. So if you can't leave a like for anything else, please leave a like for that. I arguably just wasted an hour of my life. But I think it'll be fun to look back at this team. Some may say if I can get 1 or 2 wins, that's a win. But I think I can get into the playoffs. Or at least give myself a shot. Ultimately, if I am not bottom 2 in this league, that is a win, in my opinion. But it's not what I'm aiming for. I truly do want to show you that a poor draft by any standard, because this is the lowest standard, does not end your season. This is interesting. Oh, that hurt. Zay Jones went. Okay. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. Oh, man. Five more picks before I control my own destiny. And if any of you, after this draft, go out and just start blocking random players that I could go after, I don't know why you'd do that. You'd be making your team significantly worse. But if you do that, I have a special hate in my heart for you. I have a special level of hate for the acts that you are doing, for your intentions. Eddie Pinheiro goes. Zach Ertz goes. That sucks. That really sucks, I will say. Zach Ertz would have been nice to have. It's running thin here. Holy cow. Week 1 opponent, congrats on your win. I am not going to build Rome in a night or a week. Hopefully within a month. I'm going to make some goals. Be in contention for the playoffs. That's kind of subjective. Get a win in the first month. Short-term goal, lose by less than 40 in the first week. And pull off a somewhat needle-moving trade in the first 2 weeks. I'm probably going to have to bank on someone's week 1 performance so that they can establish some value, but we will see. This draft is almost over, folks. Here we go. Here we go. I see some gems out there. I'm not going to lie to you. I see some people who I think, if one thing comes to another, we can go after. There's Gunner. There's my team. Dear Lord. Oh my gosh. Some of these guys don't even have teams. They're free agents. My first overall pick was a free agent. We're going to go to my team. I'm going to screenshot this off my phone. And folks, hang around. The fun is not done yet. We are about to get to work. I am projected to score 21.65 points. So, folks, let me know in the comments section. Thoughts on the team. 12.3 of those points are going to go to James Cook. All right, there's the screenshot. Let's get to work. There it is, 21.6 projected. We've got the priority in the waiver. I wonder why. I am curious. Oh my. Oh, a word from our sponsor. That was painful, folks. There's Gunner for you, AJ. There he is. All right, let's go in. Why is there an advertisement? Okay. Let's go in and fix this garbage team. I was going to see if I could find what the projections were for who's going to finish in first. But we know who's in last, and that's all that really matters. All right, let's go get some players. Obviously, no waiver ad limit here. I'm going to have to wait until Wednesday for all of these to go through. Till Thursday, actually, which kind of sucks. James Cook's our running back. Who can we go after? I know Jeff Wilson's going to be on the IR for a while. Should be ready to return from the injured list week 5, according to his agent. I don't really want to play the waiting game. Rashad Bateman. Excuse me, not Rashad Bateman. J.K. Dobbins has had severe injury issues over the course of his first couple of years. He missed all of 2021, only missed a game in 2020, and then missed more than half the season. I think Gus Edwards has a decent chance at seeing some playing time. Who are we going to drop? Oh, gee, I wonder. Let's just drop our freaking free agent kicker. All right. there's that. Really, really high on the Evan Hull situation. I mentioned Deion Jackson. Well, Zach Moss is gone too, so Evan Hull just catapulted from being the 4th option to the 2nd option. You can see the projected score reflects that as well. I want to make sure I'm not missing out on anyone significant. Kareem Hunt is an interesting free agent. No one's picked him up yet. If this Jonathan Taylor thing progresses into something worse, we can work off of this. Already got rid of him. Let's get rid of Gunner. So we've got 3 running backs. It's going to be James Cook. Gosh. Followed by Evan Hull and Gus Edwards. This is going to be some work, folks. Let's go to the wide receiver position, see what anybody missed. Ooh, that chemistry from Green Bay. Allen Lazard, I believe, is the wide receiver 2 or 3. This could turn into something very nice. We just need him to do decent. All we need is for some injuries to happen as they do in the NFL. And for Mr. Wide Receiver 2 to swoop in. We'll practice Tuesday. An AC joint injury in his shoulder. The return to the practice field Tuesday has him in line to be available come week 1. I'm going to be reading a lot of these news reports, folks. Because some people were passed up on and not taken in the 14th or 15th or 16th rounds because they saw a Q or a D or an O next to this person's name or an IR. As the coming season approaches, he's projected to be a key. Yep. Mecole Hardman has also had his fair share of injury issues. Let's take Lazard. And he's going to be our new wide receiver 1. Congrats, buddy. Welcome. We'll sadly kick out Josh Gordon. So long, first overall pick. I don't know the last time you saw someone drop their first overall pick immediately after the draft, but here we go. And it's going to take a little bit for these to materialize, obviously. I saw Paris Campbell on here. He's coming off of a career year. There's not too much competition. He's the Giants' number 3 wide receiver. I mean, the passing attack just isn't anything crazy. The reason that Giants team made the playoffs last year is because of the legs of Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Not too big on that. MVS could be interesting. Chase Claypool is technically the wide receiver 2 on a team that has a very poor passing attack. Rashad Bateman entices me. The wide receiver 1 for a team that, yes, is built on the run. Yeah, same story as J.K. Dobbins, really. Just injuries have limited this man a ton. We're going to drop Adam Humphries. Tight end position. What can we do there? I feel like we can definitely make some ground. Let's go get one more wide receiver / running back. We need a flex. Let's submit these now. KJ Osborne is the wide receiver 3 behind Jordan Addison. Jonathan Mingo has been getting decent reports out of camp. MVS, man. I'm tempted. Van Jefferson could be interesting to pick up if Cooper Kupp goes down. As he is the wide receiver 2, I think that could be a sneaky pick, in all honesty. I really do. We will drop Travis Homer for him. Okay, 3 wide receivers, a couple running backs as well. Let's go out and get ourselves a tight end, a place where I feel like we can actually make some decent ground from the jump. Those guys we just picked, we're going to be lucky if they get 6 or 7 points. Luke Musgrave. Chicago had literally the worst defense across the board last year, so there's some opportunity there. Irv Smith Jr., yes, he's going to be competing plenty with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. Mike Gesicki. Greg Dulcich showed some upside last year, but kind of cooled off towards the latter half of the season. Hayden Hurst, new offense. Michael Mayer, excuse me. A huge prospect. Oh, Or I'll just take the tight end 1 in Dallas. I would just like to make sure nothing changed. Yes, Elkhorn State. That's what I was looking for. Jake Ferguson. Okay. I mean, Schoonmaker is behind him. Hendershot's behind him. I mean, he's unproven, right? Then you have Musgrave, who is in a tight end room that is completely cleared. Mercedes Lewis, gone. Robert Tonyan, gone. Dawson Knox has to compete with Kincaid. Tyler Conklin has plenty of competition. I feel like he's the most established name around here right now in terms of maintaining his position, but also he's shown the upside in the past. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double-digit fantasy performances. Not many touchdowns, but the QB play was very subpar. I think we have our tight end in Tyler Conklin. He's not our favorite, but the tight end market is thin, so we deal with it. Brian's in here. I like the insight, man. Tyler Conklin is a decent tight end choice. Not sure if what you have is better. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, man. I'm looking for some stability. Tyler Conklin was middle of the road. We just saw tight end 16 last year. Decent involvement, and that was with Zach Wilson, Mike White, Chris Streveler, and 2022 Joe Flacco thrown at him. So I think I like that pick a lot, Brian. That could be a trade leverage move. Gabe Stock. Gabe, good to see you in here. Tell Wes I say hi. Wes, Gabe says hi. I think Wes is still watching too, man. Defense. No hard feelings, Bears. No hard feelings, but this is tempting with that secondary. Jaguars really showed out the latter half last season. The Broncos. I mean, that team could have gone 0-17 if they had a middle-of-the-road defense. They actually showed out pretty well. The Titans, I mean, we're going to want to stream, right? Who has the worst opposition on offense? Would have loved to see the Ravens defense in here because they play Houston. Jacksonville against a Colts team that I don't think is going to do too well. I think I'm going to go Jacksonville here. Jonathan Taylor out, new quarterback, not the best wide receiving core. Let's go ahead and drop the Bears. So, Gabe, I just drafted a ton of backups. I screenshotted the team. Projected to score 26 points. See, there's Wes. Wes, meet Gabe. Gabe, meet Wes. Once again. Pending moves. Yeah, this is this is a grind. So, yeah, Gabe just drafted a ton of backups, and we are building this team from scraps. Let's go out and get ourselves a quarterback, shall we? I think I saw somebody who I really wouldn't doubt if he puts up 15 to 16 points. Sam Howell against Arizona, super enticing. That is a weak Arizona defense. That's a team in general that I don't think is going to eat up time of possession on the other end of the ball. It's Joshua Dobbs instead of Kyler Murray. Do I take the thumbnail and CJ Stroud? I think I'm going to go Sam Howell with this matchup. He's got Jahan Dotson. He's got Terry McLaurin. Yeah, he's got Curtis Samuel. I think this is the move. No hard feelings, Drew Lock, but you must go. I mean, right there, right? 16 points per game for him. James Cook, 12. We got 28. We replaced him with a couple of... Or no, we got one running back. And I've never made this many moves in a row. Holy cow. Gus Edwards, Evan Hull, they were around the 7 to 8 points. So we're looking at 16 plus 12, 28, plus, we'll say 7 points, 35. Wide receivers. Allen Lazard, Rashad Bateman, Van Jefferson, Tyler Conklin. We'll just call those 7 across the board, 28 more. We're above 50. A defense that could score 7 or 8, 58. Let's go get a kicker. This is fun. We no longer have the worst team ever by a wide margin. Wes said, did you really drop both requests I had? Wes, I'm dropping the whole team, man. Nothing personal. But yes, Travis Homer had to go. Prey says, I traded Lockett for Pittman. You do have a wide receiver one and a relatively poor passing offense in Indianapolis, but it is an upgrade from 2 to 1. I think it's a pretty lateral move, Prey, but there is some upside with Pittman obviously being the consensus choice. It's going to come down to how much does Anthony Richardson throw the ball. Prey, if you feel that Pittman is not living up to his performance the first couple of weeks, wait until his value is high, optimal matchup, has a decent week, and trade him back off. But I see the move. Dicker the kicker? Not with those numbers. Greg the leg with that new offense. And plenty of range. This is a guy who could make a 60-yarder on command. Are they going to score a lot against Buffalo? Because I'll probably be streaming this too. Brandon McManus, Jacksonville against Indianapolis. Gotta think Jacksonville's going to put up some points. It's Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne out of the backfield. More of a pass catcher this year. Or so it looks. Yeah, I think we go McManus. And we drop Mason Crosby. Got our defense, got a few flex options. It's not perfect. When everything opens up on Thursday, I'll have a lot more flexibility. Let's go get one more. Prey says, I've got DK as well, so Lockett wouldn't do good. Yeah, not the most optimal stack, right? It's going to be a one or the other situation. I've made some moves with my team since last time. Yeah, let me know what they are, Prey. We are going to be ending the live pretty soon, but if we do, just drop your comments in the comment section below once this is archived. Otherwise, go on the most recent video. We just posted a start-em sit-em. Start-em sit-em. I don't know why I butchered that. Quarterbacks video earlier today, so feel free to do that. Let us know what updates you have, any insight you would like on certain trade situations. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones took a pretty decent step forward last year. He wasn't just that big target guy, or excuse me, big play guy, and he went on a run. How many weeks in a row is this double digits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We were covering this closely last year. $11 double-digit fantasy performances, even with the addition of Elijah Moore. I think we go out and get somebody who saw a lot more volume last year. I'm sorry, Jesper Horsted, but you gotta go. Gotta go. But yeah, Prey, drop those updates by me in the comment section below of any video you can find. I'm checking these things around the clock, and that goes for anybody. If you have any fantasy football updates, questions relating to trades, drafts in the next couple of days, if you're a procrastinator like me and you do your draft less than 48 hours before the start of the regular season. Can't believe Chiefs and Lions play in just 2 days. Prey says, my team is now Tua Tagovailoa, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf, Evan Ingram, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk. I love it, man. Tua Tagovailoa, the big question mark there is with injuries. Beyond that, we've been safe with Saquon, knock on wood. Tony Pollard's got the backfield to himself. He was a 1,000-yard rusher. He was running back 9 in a standard PPR format. He has the pass-catching upside that we have been in love with and are going to continue to see even with Deuce Vaughn back there. Deuce Vaughn's only 5'6", 5'7". He's around the same height as Darren Sproles, and Darren Sproles was an anomaly. Michael Pittman, again, is going to be a bit of a question with the rushing upside of Anthony Richardson. DK Metcalf, wide receiver 1 in a revitalized offense. Geno Smith was the quarterback 5 last year, threw for a lot of volume. I love that a ton. DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, if it's the last one, if it's the last option you have, no problem with you taking the risk for upside of somebody who has put up 1,000-yard seasons year in and year out. He's not in the best situation, unstable quarterback situation for sure, and just a run-oriented scheme in Tennessee. But I like the risk as long as he's one of your last options. Christian Kirk is getting paid over $20 million a year. If people think that his volume is just going to be rendered obsolete because of the addition of Calvin Ridley, they've got another thing coming. So, hard to type the team before you said comment. Pray you're good. I got time. Wes says, even me, the real double doves. Yeah. Yeah, I've taken into consideration a lot of your guys' advice throughout this little pick up sequence, but that was interesting, right? Worst possible fantasy team that one could draft. I think I pulled it off. Yeah, that was nuts. Just over 20 points projected for week 1, and just curious, who is my week 1 matchup? It's Trevor. Trevor, congrats on the free win, man. Holy cow. Holy cow. Justin Herbert, Josh Jacobs, Dameon Pierce, Devontae Adams, Devonta Smith, Evan Ingram, Tyler Lockett, the Steelers defense. That should be a low-scoring game between them and San Francisco. And Evan McPherson against my sorry team, projected to be outscored by 97.2. That is something. But folks, thank you so much for sticking around for the worst fantasy football draft of all time. It's me against 11 of you, and now this will be a series. I will be live streaming every week. In terms of my trade submissions, what I'm going through in terms of the process, the thought process of going after players who may be elevated in depth charts, I'll be reading practice reports. I will be doing everything possible because A, it helps me inform you more on the fantasy world, and B, it allows me to show you that even after a poor draft, because I just had the poorest of drafts, you can still give yourself a shot at the playoffs. We're rebuilding this thing from ground zero. To anybody who tuned in, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little over an hour and a half. I appreciate you greatly. Make sure you check out the most recent video I just posted a few hours ago on the Stardom Situm quarterback selections for week 1. The week 1 Stardom Situm video for wide receivers and running backs goes out tomorrow, and then tight ends the next day. Folks, I appreciate you so much. I'm Corey. This is Fantasy Armchair Athletes, and we will see you in the next one.